This is Ringside Radio, your ringside ticket to some of the finest wrestling talk around. And now, here are your hosts, Grim Chorizo, Katrina Cena, and the Sloppy Joe!
So we're very early in the year. It's January, almost the end of January, but still, it is the beginning of 2015. And, 2014, it went by very fast. That's just what happens. Years go by fast, but a lot happens in wrestling in a year. Last year we had multiple debuts, we had awesome matches, we had title changes, we had returns, we had Sting show up, we had the Shield breakup, we had the streak end, we had a lot of crazy stuff happening.
It really was quite a year.
It was.
We had memorable
outside of the ring, we had the WWE Network launching. Yes. We had Hulk Hogan coming back to
NXT
wrestling.
becoming such a big
deal.
thing.
2014 was a big, great year for wrestling. And
thanks,
so now,
H.
yes, seriously. But now I want to talk about 2015, and wanted to do this before it got too late into the year. Let's just talk what we want and what we think will happen this year. Anything.
Well, something that I've been wanting to see for a long time, I think we've all have talked about this before, is I really want to see a main event feud between Rollins and Bryan.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because,
gosh.
both of their work in the ring and outside the ring, it would be perfect, and I think it would be a good title feud to bring in the new year. It would get people really excited about it.
So that would be just so good.
Yeah.
Well, and they both have all of those aspects, like you cited in and out of the ring, and they all have those qualities that just can't be taught. You have it or you don't, connecting with the crowd and showmanship and charisma, whether it's, heel or face charisma, and more talent than any 10 people need.
And they've both have proved that they have that connection with the crowd, being face or heel, and they can
absolutely,
and they're just as good at being.
But
face
and
or heel,
they're opposite ends of the spectrum,
Definitely.
because Bryan plays a great heel too, and actually Rollins does it. Rollins plays a great face, but the spectrum they're on now is they're on complete opposite ends because Bryan is the underdog who everybody loves for the most part and respects and has really gotten behind him because of his passion for what he does. And Rollins, on the other end, is a heel, and he's slimy, and he'll do anything to win. And, you don't see him
break
as...
a guy's neck.
Right. And you don't see him as the guy who loves wrestling. You see him as the guy who loves the spotlight, who loves the glory. Even though that's not true, that is a character he portrays. Yeah. So they couldn't be more opposite than they are.
And which is why it would be such a good feud, and the matches would be a match of the year,
oh, yes.
For sure. There's no way.
The thing why it works so well is, obviously, with the authority and power, they're still going to have it out for Bryan.
Yep.
But one thing that a new dimension is Rollins, because last year when it was Bryan versus the authority, it was just Bryan versus, the authority, basically.
Rollins was
now you've got Rollins, who is the guy who can actually wrestle on a more often basis than Triple H, who they just did the match at WrestleMania, and it's a big thing. But Bryan and Rollins can have this awesome feud, and it still be Bryan versus the authority, but it's focused on Rollins and Bryan. And like you were saying, how they're on completely different sides of the spectrum. You have Bryan, who has worked so hard to get everything, and Rollins has as well, but in his character, he's been handed everything. You know what I mean? The authority's literally just giving him everything, but it's not really true. But in character, yes, he was basically given Money in the Bank. He's been given this title shot. He's been given all this stuff, where Bryan is like, I've worked for everything.
He's fought for everything.
It's just such a good story.
Last year, when that finally did, when he finally did win the title, so many unfortunate circumstances led to, him not being able to have his title reign that we wanted and that he deserves.
Yeah.
So that would be, it would be perfect.
And I think this feud could very possibly happen, because I could see Rollins winning at Rumble. Yeah. And then Bryan
wins the Rumble.
Yeah, and
there you go.
And then, I think what would be cool is if they had Rollins win the Rumble without cashing in.
Well, and at that point, they could do and I know this is babyface versus babyface, but they could do Cena and Reigns.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be something because
And it would work.
it's kind of like the elephant in the room. Reigns is being groomed to be the new face.
Yeah.
And I will stab myself if it actually happens, but I think it's kind of an impending thing that's
So it's something
coming.
that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Cena versus Reigns.
Kind of like
WrestleMania
the past present versus the present future.
It was like all those Stone Cold
Because
and
Cena's
Rock
been around for so long.
matches,
Cena's still got some time left.
Yeah, and he does.
But eventually, and Reigns is the up and comer that eventually will become that.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But like what I was saying was like find a way for Rollins to win the title match without cashing in, and then have Bryan win the Rumble, and then at WrestleMania, Bryan beats Rollins for the title, and then Rollins cashes in on Bryan.
Yeah.
And then is successful with it, and he would get so much heat for it, and then that would be a great way just to continue the feud and have it keep going.
That's very true.
And people would hate Rollins even more.
That'd be perfect because it adds so much intrigue to.
Well, and they could pull that out through SummerSlam and have Bryan get his retribution and win the title back at SummerSlam, and then actually have a reign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that way it makes it so Rollins' first reign isn't just a couple of months. It draws it out a bit. He has a good reign.
I could watch those two feud all year.
Yeah.
That'd be so good.
Let's make this happen.
It's another one that feuds like Punk and Cena.
Yeah, the chemistry.
Like the chemistry's
the
there.
matches are
And
always good.
they've never put on a bad match.
Yeah.
Whether they're teaming together or they're against each other, it's always been good.
Okay, so here's something I have. For the love of all that is holy, when you return Sheamus, turn him heel and make him like an evil warrior type of thing. And that's one of those, we were talking about entrances a little bit earlier, and he's one that could use an entire makeover, a new entrance, a new theme, a new personality.
Yes.
Because I like Sheamus, but with his hard-hitting style and everything, it just makes more sense for him to be a heel.
Yeah.
And before he left, he had become very stale. So I have very high hopes that they will do what obviously needs to be done. And, upon his return, maybe even return him as a heel. He attacks somebody that, everybody loves.
Dean Ambrose? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Actually, that would be quite the
great,
feud.
yeah.
Because, Sheamus is one who I feel like we're all in agreement with this. We really like, but he's stale. There's good in the ring, but, like, I want to like what he's actually doing. And he's much more fitting as a heel. And yes, if he had the complete makeover, like actually play into that Celtic Warrior thing.
Last summer I was watching some of the old FCW shows, and he was Sheamus O'Shaughnessy there, and he was like he was a heel.
Yeah.
He was actually their top heel and their champion. But he had like almost like war paint, and he was very intimidating. And definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I think that would be great. Something to that similarity.
Yeah, pull back into that because and
that would give him such another dimension to his
Definitely.
personality.
And like it's like kind of what Katrina was saying with his style and like the way he fights and stuff. He can't be that guy who the little kids love.
Except that he is. So it's weird.
It just doesn't make sense because it's like you said, he should be that very impactful guy who he's going to destroy you.
Yeah.
He's not going to come out high-fiving kids and hugging them.
Even as a face, he feels just kind of like a bully.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why not make him a bad guy who actually is a bully?
Who bullies people, yeah.
And then it just works. And then I'm sitting here watching it being like, damn, he's so good at being a heel. Instead of being like, why is he a face?
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. Just switch it, and there you go. So definitely agree with that. And I think it'll happen this year. I don't know if he'll have the complete makeover, but I think he'll be a heel.
Oh, I think so,
I think
too.
he will return as a heel. Then again, we thought the same thing last year, or at least I did, but I think they'll do it this year. I think he will be a heel.
He's probably ready to come back any time now, honestly.
Soon. Something I think will happen is that John Cena will get a 16th title reign.
Yeah,
I don't know about his 17th, but I think he will tie the record of world championships this year, whether it is at the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, sometime this year. Don't know how long the reign will be. Should be made a big deal because he's tying a record.
Right. Well,
But
sorry.
I was just going to say, but I think this year he will get the 16th. And I think he will break the record, just this year will tie it, I think.
Right.
That's a prediction I think we'll see happen.
Well, and here's the thing. If he is gonna get his 16th title reign at the Royal Rumble, I don't know how good of an idea that's gonna be, because if he's going to win the title, I don't want him to stay the champion, as in, if he were to win the title, it would make sense for Rollins to cash in right there. And then, so Rollins becomes the champion. But that just completely takes away from the significance of, John getting his 16th title reign, which ties Ric Flair for the most title reigns in history.
And they haven't talked about it at all, really. They haven't said John Cena could walk out of this tying the record.
No,
they
haven't.
Said it once.
They
Ric
haven't.
Flair could have talked about that while he was on Raw.
Right.
They didn't do anything with it.
Yep.
Which is why they wouldn't make it very ceremonious.
And that's funny, considering when he won at Money in the Bank, I was like, man, that's number 15.
Oh, yeah.
He's one away. So even back then, I was thinking the next title reign, the next win is tied with Flair.
Yeah,
so it is worthy to note that they haven't brought it up.
Yeah, and it's, to me, like, them not bringing it up kind of makes me think that he's not going to win our Rumble.
Right.
Because they'd make a bigger
like, why
deal
would they
out of it.
not? That's such a big, like...
But, man, see, Lesnar's been so unstoppable, so how in the world, if he's losing that title at the Rumble, how in the world is he going to do it with credibility?
Well, I think that's why they put a third person in there. It's so someone can be the fall guy.
Or it takes the second try with the briefcase.
Well, or these two guys just decide, man, we've got to stop this unstoppable beast, and then ask questions later.
Yeah.
Because really, if Cena and Rollins were smart in character, they would go, okay, we need to get rid of him. And then, of course, there would be the fight over who gets the pinfall, and then next thing you know, but I could see them, that would make the most sense to me, for them to just see that we have this mutual person who is... has been an unstoppable force that, and there are two of us and one of him.
Yeah, well, I have quite a bit of prediction things that came to mind. So I'm just going to read some off and tell me what you think. Dean Ambrose will be the only Shield member to not hold the world title this year.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I think Rollins and Reigns will both hold it, but I don't think Ambrose
I think
will. I don't even know if he'll be in the title picture for very long.
Yeah, I think Rollins will have it.
He's one who I don't see, like, really... He doesn't need a title right now.
He doesn't.
And we've talked about he's not really ready for it. But even if he were, like, he doesn't need it.
No, I see him being one of those guys who has it, but his reigns are, like, maybe a month or something, just a transition. But he deserves it and has it because...
Absolutely.
He deserves it, but it won't be a big, long reign where, like, Rollins or Reigns would have.
And I see, like you said, both of them having it. I see Rollins having it at the beginning of the year, and then Reigns kind of closing the year with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And then this one is, I think, is for sure going to happen, but Rusev Streak will end at WrestleMania, I think. If they're going to do it, why not do it big,
Against whom do you think?
At this point, maybe Ryback. I thought Reigns would be good to end the Rusev Streak.
Or even Cena. We've kind of thrown around the idea of Cena.
Yeah. But I think Reigns wouldn't be a bad bet or a bad choice because that's not the main event. He's more ready for this kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Rusev would be pretty cool.
Actually, I would like to see that.
I think that would be the best bet, but at this point I could see Ryback, which personally I'm okay with it. Because they're running out of options, honestly. And...
Well, and it's got to be somebody who has credibility to do it.
So I could see Ryback, but Reigns would be my first choice because that's a perfect spot for him.
Okay.
Have him, and then he's got a title. He's got the United States title.
Exactly.
Make it mean something.
Actually, that'd
be great. I would really like that.
Well, and it might get more people behind Reigns.
Yeah, have Rusev eliminate Reigns in the Rumble, then Reigns, or vice versa. Either way, and then it's like probably make more sense for Reigns to eliminate Rusev. Rusev comes out. Either way. That'd be great. But I think it will end at WrestleMania to whomever.
And speaking of the U.S. title, you saying that kind of just brought something up to my mind. Like, do you think that they're going to keep the U.S. title throughout the whole year, or do you think they're going to drop it or unify it with something else? Because they really haven't done a whole lot with it, and I don't really see it need for
I
that
tossed that
third
around.
title.
I think they will, just because I think
just something else to fight for.
That, and just because they won't get rid of it. I don't know how to explain
Well,
it.
and it's pretty prestigious. Because I look at the title and I think of like very specific people,
Same,
and it takes me back to a certain time frame in wrestling.
Yeah.
So
Well, it has the prestige. What it needs is, I love Rusev and I think he's a good holder. It's just he's not the type of champion who it's gonna pass around or anything because he's this unbeatable monster. But I think that there's so many people who could hold it, and
still a better champion than Ambrose.
Yes. But then again,
Like, and
the
that's
problem
the
with the
thing.
U.S. title is it seems like it just is badly booked. Like it just doesn't get defended, or there's
Like,
really no
it's-
stories for it.
That's what I'm saying. They just don't really seem to care about it. They like the Intercontinental's in a championship is in a good spot right now. Obviously, the world title's in a great spot. The tag titles are even doing well, but it's just like the U.S. title just kind of lackluster.
So it could go away this year, but then there's only 4 titles.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll keep it just to have another title, just for
Yeah.
something to fight over or whatever. That's what
and I agree, and I think that's what'll happen too.
Yeah.
But I feel like they just need to do something more with it. They need to get it back up to the spot where it feels like you want to have it. Like
make it mean something.
yeah, and
like it used to.
yeah, and and I know it's possible because the Intercontinental title was in that spot a few years ago, and then like when Cody Rhodes won it, he really brought it up, and then it slowly kind of.
Man, I think that white leather strap too.
Yeah.
I think that.
Oh,
made
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it
I
makes
love
that
that
white leather
title.
strap
it's the
really
best
helps.
looking title. Yeah.
Yep.
It just it looks so sharp. You're just like, now that's a title. Right
It's
there.
nice. It's really nice. Okay, here's another thing. Here's something I think. I do think before 2015 is done, the Ascension will have won the tag team titles.
Yes, agreed.
I think even maybe before half of 2015 is done.
Yeah.
Because who better to take the titles off the Usos than the Ascension?
I think that's why they put them
Yeah.
on the Usos,
Right.
is for the Ascension.
Well, and I am super excited about. Sorry, I know we keep bringing up Royal Rumble, but
all
I'm
good.
super excited to see them against the New Age Outlaws.
too.
You know, kind of the old school versus the new school who came in with a chip on their shoulder, thinking they're better than the
Yeah.
old school.
Well, and the cool thing about that is like so many people get mad at them for doing like the whole like Road Warriors thing.
Oh,
like,
dude, my dad, that was the best day of his life, I think, on Raw when, you know, all the old school tag teams came out and just really taught him a lesson.
and I don't remember who it was, but it was one of the Road Warriors tweeted saying it was like such a big like disrespect, and like
Yeah.
Lance Storm said he turned
Well,
off
it
Raw.
must have been Animal.
Yeah, it was, and then like
Sorry.
and then I think Lance Storm also tweeted saying like he turned off Raw because it had angered him.
Okay, but
so
here's my
much
thing.
because it's such a disrespect. But-
Everybody needs to calm down because
They're heels.
they're heels and it's a flippin' storyline.
Exactly.
They're getting heat.
Yeah.
People are behind them. Lance Storm, of all people, should know.
yeah.
Lance, if you're listening, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro.
And
Like, really?
And that's why I think it's cool that they're
But
facing the New Age
It
Outlaws,
could be
is 'cause
that
they, like,
Lance is
ratchet
helping the situation.
Yeah, it could be.
Too. You know, somebody like that. And Animal, I would expect him to tweet something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect him to go, yeah, the Ascension are such good heels. I would expect him to
Yeah.
come
I
back
love
with
how
like,
he said
what?
we suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
works because an old school fan like my dad is just infuriated when they come out and start talking about his
Yeah.
old tag teams. And it was like they showed a recap on SmackDown, I think, or they talked about it, they referenced it, and he was just like, yeah. I said, you liked that, didn't you, Dad? That was great.
Yeah. Well, and to add on to your prediction of the Ascension with the titles, I think that they'll hold them for majority of the year, like
Yeah.
into 2015.
Yeah,
Like
I think they will be Tag Team of the Year next year.
by like I don't know, April even. I could see them holding it from April to the end of the year. But
Yeah. I could see them being Tag Team
That's
of
just-
the Year.
yeah, I think they're gonna have a great year.
Very dominant.
Yeah.
They're already very, they have a lot of credibility.
Yeah.
And so far they're being booked really well, especially that segment on Raw. That like cemented my hope that
Yeah.
they were going to, you know, use the Ascension properly. Because seeing that and the reaction it got, it was like, yeah, I think they actually realize what they have here, which is good.
Definitely.
Thanks, H.
Once again, thank you.
And speaking of like NXT guys, are there any like NXT guys who you think will be on the main roster next year, or who you want to see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me guess. Finn Balor.
Finn Balor.
Okay, well, I'll say I think that Adrian Neville will be in the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I think then, kind of like Rusev, he'll debut the night after WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he'll win the Intercontinental title within 2 months after that.
Oh, that'd be great.
That's what I think.
Would be cool. And I also think Charlotte will be on the main
Yes,
roster.
that's another
By the
debut
end of
for
the year.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Very soon, around WrestleMania season, I think too.
Yeah, and I assuming that the way they're gonna bring her in is they're gonna have her dad like bring her in, and
That makes sense.
And it would even be cool if he like managed her for a while. I think that would be.
I think they'll do that. Yeah.
Well, and that would be okay because it makes sense. Ric Flair's
Yeah.
not just out there refusing to let go of the wrestling.
It's
and,
business.
actually
like,
his
and
daughter,
he wants
yeah.
to come back and he wants to do something. This
He'll
would be-
cry every single match, though.
Yeah.
That's what.
That's
I
my daughter.
Yeah.
It's like, dude. Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's just a good way to, and it's a great way to bring someone up and bring them up as a phase is
Yeah.
to have Ric Flair manage them and. And
Or
it'd
as
be
a
cool.
heel, man. Either way,
Yeah.
that could work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, either way could work.
Mhm.
And in all seriousness, I do think Finn Balor will be there
Yeah.
by the end
I
of
do
this
too,
year,
yeah.
and I think Kevin Owens will too.
And
Yeah.
Hideo.
And Hideo, yes,
Mm-hmm.
because they were kind of the group that has had very accelerated debuts
Yeah.
and success in
And
NXT
the word was that
for that purpose.
And the word was that they weren't going to be there a
Yeah.
whole lot of time anyway. So
Well,
yeah, I could see
Yeah,
that.
and I've heard like rumors that in their contract says like they're only going to be in NXT for X amount of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So-
and I could see that, and you can tell because
and they're ready.
yes, because they've wrestled for so long and it's
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
over
they
the
have
place.
that extra experience.
All over the
that
place.
shows, definitely.
It really does. And beyond just, smaller, more local independent shows. The big kind of world-renowned promotions
Yeah.
that are not WWE.
Yeah, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Noah, and wherever else they wrestled. But those are three big ones that they all were in, respectively.
And I think I could see Sammy coming up too, but like the thing is, we're talking about all these people coming up. That's a lot of people.
Kind of takes
Yes,
up
and-
an hour.
yeah.
And then there's what's left on NXT. That's like 5 main
Well,
event
and the
guys
guys
are
who
all
have been there so
gone.
long, guys like Tyler Breeze,
Yeah.
who really deserves a spot on the main roster, and I think we'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right now, with all these guys that they're just accelerating through NXT onto the main roster, I think that is going to take away from some of the debuts that we've kind of been waiting in the wings for.
Yeah.
Like Tyler Breeze. Like probably Sami Zayn.
Yeah. And
But-
since we're... Oh, go ahead.
No, well, I was gonna say like with all those guys who are predicting coming up from NXT, who are some guys that you think might join NXT to kind of fill in those holes?
Do you mean that haven't debuted yet, or you mean people that will be hired
Like
from...
people that haven't debuted yet or haven't been hired, or like people who you want to see hired with WWE,
Or even like
have-
main roster guys
Yeah.
like Curtis Axel
Okay.
being on.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that was really cool how they have Curtis Axel on, and
Yeah.
Well, my thing is, please, if you're not going to properly use Cesaro, can you please just
Yeah.
put him on NXT where he
Yeah.
can do amazing things and, show the world what he is?
Yeah.
yeah,
Because he is so talented.
Mm-hmm.
And not only in the ring, like, my gosh, the guy's so smart. He's,
Yeah.
he's musically inclined. He speaks 5 languages. And I know that's, like, become almost cliche, but my gosh, why would you not
Yeah.
Do
work that
something
into
with
something?
seriously.
Initially they did, but now it's like, got nothing for the Zaro.
and honestly,
He's Swiss.
yeah,
Yeah.
He doesn't have it.
and
So he's
honestly-
neutral. His finisher will be called the neutralizer. Yay.
and
I mean, come on.
And honestly, I think he would be another good person to pair with, like, the Vaudevillains. Like, because he kind of has that that attitude, like this.
He could
he's
put
smart.
his
fit.
scarf on and his glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Yeah, he
fit.
could.
fit.
Yeah, like I think he'd be a good like addition to it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how they would incorporate that in.
That would be
but-
interesting.
Yeah. As far as people joining NXT from the main roster, I think that people who basically need to, or they're done. I mean, Heath Slater wouldn't be a bad one
Yeah.
because I think because I had a list here. I think Heath Slater, Curtis Axel, Zack Ryder, or Justin Gabriel. One or
Zack
all will be
Ryder.
fired this year over the summer. They always do one in like June. I think all 4 of those guys could go.
Yeah.
And yeah, Curtis Axel's doing this thing in NXT right now, but he hasn't won since he's been there. So there's not really. I think he's just there to be there right now. Like
Yeah.
they don't have something
Yeah.
planned for him.
And-
Zack
and I-
Ryder, I mean, it wouldn't hurt him either. I'm not
No.
saying too many people should go down there. It's just
Right.
at least one of those guys is gone this year.
But it
not
is
all.
interesting to think about, like, they should send more experienced guys if they're gonna have this, you know, like a handful of guys come up to the main roster. It wouldn't hurt to, like, fill out those empty holes with people who have that experience in the ring and in the bigger crowds and calling a match and, you know, working WWE style.
Well, and the whole thing about NXT is preparing people for the main roster. So if they think someone's not ready for the main roster, why just let them sit there and do nothing?
Bring them
back down to NXT.
Well, and do
let
like
them
a
hone their gimmick and
Yeah.
change it up
Or
or
give
whatever.
well, and have them mentor a brand new guy because seriously, if you want to learn more than you've ever learned about something, teach it to somebody else.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
really, if they did like a mentorship thing, like have Zack Ryder mentor someone who just got signed,
Yeah,
you know, like I think that would be a win-win.
yeah.
And like on this subject, like who do you guys like see with that haven't like debuted on NXT yet that we know have been signed? Who would like out of them? Who would you like to see like come up and do more?
In NXT?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I mean, we heard the rumor that Solomon Crowe
Yeah.
will be making his debut either at TakeOver or very soon. So him, just because while I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff of him, I mean, I want to see him. You know what I mean? Because he's been there for so long.
And I've just from hearing like reading what people say on like Reddit or whatever about him, I've never heard anything bad about him. And I've heard like his character is just like
He's a little unpredictable.
Yeah.
I saw him at AEW once in Chicago before he got signed as Sami Callihan. And then when I went to see NXT over the summer, I got to see him, you know, 2 nights in a row. But you could tell, you know, he's the guy that, you know, is kind of still generic and they don't have,
Yeah.
you know, they don't have much for him. So, or he's, you know, still honing his skills. And, but yeah, he's definitely a good prospect. One to watch for this year.
Yeah. And I know like this guy, he's already debuted and he's already done stuff, but one guy they need to do something with is CJ Parker.
Oh,
The guy is just so
Please.
good.
Well, one of my predictions I had written down is that this year he'll finally get a shot and will actually fight for be in the NXT title picture by the end of the year.
Oh, that would
I
be
think
so
so.
happy.
I really think by the end of the year, and I'm saying this not just because I want it, but because on numerous occasions, people have put him over big time. Rollins, Sami Zayn, just read a Kevin Owens interview, Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, I don't know if I already said him.
Yes, you
but
did.
Worth saying twice.
Did we mention
all
Sami
of them?
Zayn?
All of them. One of the questions have said
So, like, they've said
like,
positive things about him.
is there anyone in NXT, like, something that you like to work with, all this stuff? And they all have pointed out CJ Parker, basically saying, like, the Kevin Owens one I
didn't even know. That's really
I just
cool.
read one because Kevin Owens debuted against CJ Parker and said, basically just wrestling the guy, I got so much respect for him, all this stuff. He's one of those guys who've been here for so long, and just you can see he's got the passion, loves what he's doing, and he's just holding on. And they basically all have said he's gonna rightfully get that spot. He's just waiting, and he's doing everything they give him until he gets that spot. But just from hearing that, it makes me think like, okay, if all these guys, these top NXT and main roster guys are saying this, and because he's just good, I imagine he's gonna, you know, just stay there, do what they do, probably job a lot, but then eventually they're going to pull the trigger and he's going to get that spot by the end of the year. I'm not saying he's going to be the NXT champ, but he's going to be in the main event. I really think so.
And I feel like he's like the perfect guy to kind of move up and take the spot of like Neville and Zayn when they go to the main roster, because he's got like that indie style about him, and
the crowd knows him. Like the NXT crowd knows him. He's been there for a while.
And
He's
seems to like
developed
him.
a huge
They either
following,
love him
too.
or they love to hate him, and both is great.
And that's what I mean. Like I think even the people who are booing him because they like him. He's that guy who you like to boo, who you want to see to get the crap kicked out of him. So
well, I could talk about him all day because this is coming from someone who watched him for years.
Yeah.
On the independent scene, I knew him. He knew me by name. The last time I saw him, he told me he loved me and that he would miss me because we knew he had been signed. I have that like forever, you know. And I don't know that he would know me when he saw me now because it's been so long. I haven't seen him in almost 4 years.
Wow.
At all. But he was one of my favorite guys in Dreamwave when he was there. And if you watch the DVD of his return, you hear me just like explode. Because he came in a helmet and he took it off and we saw that it was him. Because that was after, I think, his first WWE tryout. But it was a no. And then he was like, okay, I'll come back and do this because I love this. And people, myself especially, unfortunately, just lost it. Because he was one of our, most favorite guys. He's so charismatic and so approachable and you can see that on TV. And so last weekend I was watching Arrival again, and seeing his entrance there and his character there, and then seeing how he is now, it's like, man, he already just this year has come so far in his character, because he got a new theme, he got, a completely new attitude. In a good, and all of it has been nothing but improvement.
Yeah.
So, and then Kevin Owens debuted against him.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't a complete squash.
No.
It's a pretty brutal match. I mean, both guys
it was,
got busted open. So.
It was.
But they probably picked CJ for a reason. Because, he's...
And that's exactly right. And that says a lot. And at Arrival, he had a match against He Who Must Not Be Named.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's obvious that they trust him to carry certain burdens.
Yeah. And
like debuting somebody.
Help the other guys. Yeah.
You're on the very first pay-per-view because we know you can do this. So
that's why
nothing would make me happier than to see him succeed and really get a push in NXT this year and eventually make it to the roster.
Yeah.
Because, he is the one that I've been the closest to. Like, I actually knew the guy.
Yeah.
I can say that. I can completely say that. Rollins, that's a stretch. I met him several times. I would interact with him at shows, but it wasn't like, hey, Tyler.
Yeah.
Hey, Katrina. But it was with him.
Yeah.
It was with CJ.
Well, and I kind of explained that too, because I went to a show with you that he was working, and I remember you had pointed, and I think he was a heel at the time, so he really wasn't out about talking to fans, but he came out to grab his merch or whatever, and you pointed to him you need to go talk to him, go meet this guy because he's been signed or whatever. So I'm like, okay, and I talked to him, and
he hadn't been signed. I think at that point he'd had a tryout.
Yeah. But you said eventually this guy is going.
Oh, it was obvious. His size and so young and so talented.
And I remember walking up to him hey, can I get a picture and an autograph, whatever. He seemed very approachable. Most guys are well, I don't know. He seems busy. I don't know if I should disturb him.
Oh my gosh, he
just let off a vibe
oh
yeah, come
so
talk, come hang out or whatever.
And I guarantee you, he's still the same.
And then I remember you walked over shortly after that to take the picture or whatever, and we probably talked for 20 minutes with him, just very casual conversation. So,
while talking about NXT, some other ones were, I think that it's been talked about that we think, or some people think that Finn will turn on Hideo at one point. I think that Hideo will turn on Finn.
That is what I keep thinking.
I think that's my prediction. I think Hideo turns on Finn because I don't know. Finn he's got the look, the entrance that even if he's a heel, everyone's just gonna freaking love him.
Yeah, why would you mess with that? That's counterproductive.
So, I think it's gonna be Hideo.
And I feel at this point,
Hideo needs the personality enhancement.
Yeah.
Well,
and I love Hideo, but he needs it.
And I feel at this point, Finn is a little more over than Hideo.
Yeah.
Just because Hideo's Hideo doesn't really have a gimmick. He's just
he's just a badass.
Yeah.
He's just that awesome guy.
Yeah. And that's cool, but I feel he needs more of
But the same at the same
personality
time.
and
Not
stuff.
to cut you off here, but Finn. It's interesting because Finn doesn't really have a gimmick, but you he does, but you can't really put it in words. You know what I mean? Just when you say that, I'm like, yeah, what's Finn's gimmick? I'm like, well, he's just an Irish dude, but he's really over the top.
Yeah.
It's, he has a gimmick, but you can't
place it. Yeah.
There's not a word for it. Where Hideo is just kind of badass Japanese guy.
Yeah.
Where I think he could play the heel really well. It could be the other way. Finn could do it. I just think.
And I had thought
the only thing
Hideo
is
turning, but it was just well, I feel Finn kind of just looks like that heel guy.
Well, because he was the Bullet Club leader.
Well, yeah.
No, he doesn't.
But I don't know. But now that you say it, it does make more sense for Hideo to turn because
Maybe Finn's getting all the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's gel.
And
Yeah.
like,
He's totally gel.
Could see that being the story.
I don't think it'll be next week, but in a couple of weeks
Not
on
yet.
NXT, you have that match with Hideo versus Finn
Yeah.
for the
That's true.
in the tournament. I don't think it will happen there, but
Yeah, I think we got a little.
I
bit.
think that could be a precursor to it.
Yeah.
Here's my only reservation about that, though. When you think heel, you think mic. They're going to be talking on the mic.
Yeah.
And that is not a strong point for
No.
Hideo. Not his fault, because, he's still
Yeah.
Yeah.
learning English, which is one of the hardest
That's a
languages
good
to learn,
point, though.
especially as an adult.
Yeah.
But that is a concern for me,
True.
because a lot, it's almost like a requirement of a heel. Like,
It
you
is,
have to
yeah.
talk on the mic. You have to get heat. You have to, and I think he could do it through beatdowns and his vicious kicking and stuff. But I think there would have to come a point where
Yeah.
he, has to express things on the mic.
And a way to help with that too, they could
Actually, it'd
partner
be
him-
great if they had him. Sorry.
I was gonna say they could partner him with a manager, someone.
Yes, an obnoxious translator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That'd get some heat.
The great Kali says, except
Yeah, like something
way
like
worse.
that.
Yeah.
Have. And
That would
or-
be cool.
or-
He refuses to speak English
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's better in.
So
in,
there are definitely
yeah.
ways around it.
I was actually thinking that too. Have him only speak Japanese. He refuses to speak English because it's such a nasty language, and it's not right for it to touch his lips.
It
or
is actually a
whatever.
terrible language.
Yes.
It's completely impossible to master, even if you
Yeah.
already speak
Yeah.
it.
But, I mean,
Sorry, but
I think he
America.
could definitely be a heel, but I do agree that is one thing that they need to work on with him is his mic ability, and it's not like you said, it's not
his fault.
Yeah.
but it could definitely be. It's definitely his weakest point right now. Is definitely his mic skills.
Yeah. I think that this year we'll get an NXT versus WWE Survivor Series.
Oh, that would be
I think
so
this is the year
good.
it's going to happen.
And it makes
Team
perfect
NXT
sense.
versus Team WWE. I also think the NXT title will be on the line at WrestleMania. I think that is why they're doing
This year.
Yes, I think that's why they're
Okay.
doing.
Awesome.
That's why they're doing non-title
Oh,
Kevin
mhm.
Owens, Sami Zayn
Okay.
at the Takeover, so they can build for the title match at WrestleMania.
Okay,
That's what
so
I
here's the
think.
thing. Do you think pre-show, or do you think opening match or first hour? What do you guys think?
I want to say pre-show because that seems more what they
Yeah.
do because it's already, it's already.
That was my thought.
Because if you think about it,
But that's okay.
no, it's
Yeah.
it's great. It'll make people really want to watch the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have them on the card but don't have these main roster guys on the card and they're on the pre-show,
Yep,
then it's kind
then
of like
you have
it's kind of
some-
like, well, main roster really isn't better than NXT.
Right.
You're just on the pre-show. So yeah.
Well, and you don't want those guys taking that animosity,
Yeah.
having to deal
You know,
with that
pre-show's still-
animosity.
still great. You know,
Yeah.
you're still at WrestleMania, and that it just crossed me. It's like I think that's why they're doing that. That
It makes
takeover
sense.
non-title match is because the next takeover probably won't be till April, May or something.
Yeah.
So do it at WrestleMania.
Do you think that
Oh, that is so
it
cool.
will be Owens and Zayn?
I do,
Yes.
but I think Sammy will win.
Yeah, well, yeah, I do too.
I think that they're going to do it. I think it'll be an annual thing, WrestleMania title match or NXT title match at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, and
I think this is the year it starts.
maybe next
Yeah.
year it's on the main card.
Yeah.
Or 2 years from now it's on the main
I
card.
don't know. I'd even be okay if it was just pre-show every year for it.
Yeah, but as everything evolves, so will NXT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's caught on like wildfire. If you were trying to buy those tickets for the Columbus
Oh.
show today, I think you would understand. I've never dealt with anything like
I
that
heard.
ever.
Well, yeah, obviously you got them, but I heard that they sold out like.
I can't
Like-
even. Like, I was at work, okay? So I told a colleague, I'm like, this is really stupid, but I have to buy wrestling tickets. Can you please cover for me for like 10 minutes? And he like, kind of likes wrestling, so he's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm like, don't tell anybody or I'm going to be in trouble. So I hope my employers aren't listening. If they are, but
Just
The
skip
second
forward
they
5
went on
minutes
sale.
and then start.
the second they went on sale, I was right there, get tickets. And it took me several tries. It kept saying not available, and I'm like, what? And so I was requesting two main floor tickets.
Yeah.
And so 3, 4 times, 5 times, and I'm panicking, like I'm crying. I'm like, no, this is
Yeah.
not happening. So finally I just dropped it down to 1 ticket, and I found 1 in the 3rd row. So I'm like, I'm getting this. So I called Jerry, and I'm like, all I could get was one, because my brother Jerry's supposed to be going with me. I'm like, all I could get was one, and I said, do you want to go to the show and not sit together, or do you want to do something else while I'm at the show? And he said, well, get me in if you can. And I'm like, okay, so that was less than a minute. And I went on again. Best available, balcony. So we went from third row to balcony in less than a minute.
Well, that's insane.
For one seat.
That just proves, because I heard people were saying online that they were all trying to get it and they sold out in minutes. So,
Yes, they did.
Well, it's a good thing we didn't get a big group to go there.
I was in serious pain. I was suffering
Well,
up until I got it.
It's a good thing you did it, like, right then.
I feel really bad for everyone around me, though. I mean, obviously, I front row was my goal.
Yeah.
But now that I realize how, but that venue only seats 2,200 people.
Okay,
so I can see why it went quickly, and, they put some main roster guys on the show. But I think that speaks volumes about NXT.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully this shows WWE, oh, hey, look how fast this show
Let's do this more often.
sold out. Maybe we should
exactly.
travel more often.
And I really do think that will be what happens, because they will see those dollar signs.
Money, money!
And,
Another prediction, end of the year,
I
NXT will
paid
do a tour.
for the NXT house show what I would have paid for one of those seats at a WWE house show. So that shows that they can sell just as well with the NXT brand.
Yeah.
Because it was the same price I would have paid for Ringside house show. Very close.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
granted, I paid for the VIP, so supposedly you get to meet Big Show, Ryback, and Ric Flair.
Oh, okay.
That's included in it, but I only went for VIP because I thought it would guarantee me front row.
Oh, yeah.
Silly girl. Silly girl, this is NXT.
Like, why would those guys be?
But I really think with how
Help sell it, I guess.
obviously there were that many people that desperate to get tickets, so I'm really expecting a really rabid, super hyped up crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
So maybe I don't have to feel sorry for everyone around me, because maybe they'll be as bad as
I'm
me.
sure. Like, everyone who's there, I think, is really going to be as into it as you. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Well, I'm just going to have signs, and I hate to be in people's way when I hold them up.
It's a wrestling show, though. I mean,
I know.
you have to expect people to
I've had
hold
people
up
get
signs.
really, really mad at me, though.
Like, I can understand if you're being obnoxious about it, just, like, shoving it in their face so they can't see, but, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a wrestling show. There's going to be signs. You kind of just have to, if someone...
Well, and I also hope, I'm terribly sorry about this, but I really hope, since it's on a school night, there's not going to be 7 billion children there that are flooding the guardrails. And it's more the adult type of show anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for, So I think the big kids should get to play this time.
Yeah.
I almost feel like this one is a for sure, but I think AJ's gone this year from WWE.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel it already.
Yeah,
Just-
you can
she's
already
just...
I mean,
she's...
I don't even know if she's going to come back. I hope, at least for one final run or something, but...
That's just weird, because it's all she's ever wanted to
Yeah.
do. It's just, it's sad.
Yeah. But I'm just definitely expecting this as her last year. Also, I think New Day will either turn heel very soon or be like 3MB level jobbers by summer. Like,
Yep.
Like just complete
I see
lose
that
all the
too.
time.
Yeah,
or
I
they'll
see
turn
that
heel
jobbers.
and do something interesting.
Which
I
is
love their
terrible,
matches.
because all of them are so good, and
Yeah.
they've all been screwed over numerous times.
Yeah. They have, especially Kofi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like
Think we
Big
could
E,
write
he
a
goes
book
from
about
being
that.
the Intercontinental Champion to...
Dude who wipes sweat off himself.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of funny because they're like... It's like still their individual stuff. Now they're just a group. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
and I like the idea behind the group, and I think it's a really cool idea. And I think it could be better.
I'm just laughing because those black guys who dance. I mean, is that they're like who wear blue? Like,
I think it's supposed to be more like of that.
they're positive.
Like, yeah.
I guess,
But I don't know. I feel like they could have thought of something better for him, but I don't know. They could work on the main roster, but I don't think. I just don't see them giving.
I
him
just
a
think they'll
chance.
either turn or they'll just be jobbing
Yeah.
like 3MB. They'll be the new 3MB. I think main event of SummerSlam, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns with Dean Ambrose. I think it's going to be the Shield triple threat at SummerSlam.
For the title?
I don't know.
Or...
Either for the title or for a number one contender, I don't know.
That would be great.
I
I,
just
mean,
think-
that it has to happen.
Yeah.
I think
it
that it'll
needs to
happen at
happen this year.
SummerSlam. I think it'll happen again. I just think it's going to be at SummerSlam.
Well, because they've had it when it's been Dean and Seth, and they kind of hinted at the Seth and Roman thing.
Yeah.
And then
There's never been a Dean and Reigns.
They need to do a Dean and Reigns feud, and then they can kind of bring Rollins.
Yeah, I think SummerSlam, that would be a hell of a main event.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Definitely.
And
would.
then,
title or not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It would
it
be
could just be
fantastic.
whatever. It could be anything. It doesn't even have to be a number one contender. It could just be.
And everyone wants to see it. Everyone wants to see the Shield
yes.
triple threat.
Well, and that could be the big draw. Like they
Yeah.
had Triple H and Lesnar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that could be the big draw. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have to bring anybody in from the outside.
No.
To me, that would be that would be the best draw
Yes.
of the night.
Yeah.
And especially if they made it for like the title, that's
Even
better.
bigger.
Yeah.
And a few months before that, Money in the Bank winner, I think, is Bray Wyatt. I think he's going to win Money in the Bank this year.
And, like I can definitely see him winning it, and I would like to see him win it, but he just doesn't seem like that guy that really needs Money in the Bank. Like it's just
I know,
be weird
but
seeing him
I
walk
still
around
think
like-
I still could see it.
I
Because
could,
it's so different.
If not him, I could see Ambrose with it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
Yeah,
that
I could see
lunatic
it.
carrying the briefcase
Yeah.
around and
And he
throwing
just
it into the
throws it
ring?
down the
yeah.
And he's just gonna be like flailing it everywhere.
He will hate that thing with a passion.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Rollins already hates it.
Yeah. But
Because like you see the pictures of the airport stalkers that stop him
and
at
it's
every
just like-
turn, and he has to carry the darn thing, and that's gotta get old. That's gotta be old right away.
yeah.
Well, like I've heard multiple wrestlers say this, but I was listening to the Rollins podcast or Jericho's podcast with Rollins on it, and he talked about how he has to carry it through the airports and stuff. And
Yeah.
Jericho's like, yeah, when you have titles, you do the same thing. They open your bags and like, oh, look, this guy's a
Yep,
wrestler.
yep.
He's the champion.
Well, and
So
Jericho
it's
writes
just-
about that in his books
Yeah.
too. How the security guards like try them on and take a
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, and he's like,
He's like,
It's like, can I just go, please?
I just want to
Yeah.
get on my plane.
like it's just one of those things. You're like, I just want to get on my plane so I don't miss it and be late for my
Or
job.
I just want to get to my rental car
Yeah.
without being confronted by the decay of wrestling
Yeah.
fans
Yeah.
that are stalking me through the
Hey, can I get a
airport.
picture?
I'm shooting on the fans that piss me off, by the way.
Yeah.
wouldn't have guessed.
That was a shoot right there.
But like, I don't. Yeah, but Dean would definitely hate that thing. Like I
Oh,
can see
yeah.
him
Yeah.
accidentally
I
leaving
just
it at a
think-
venue, or
I think that
accidentally
would be,
throwing it in the
and
lake.
I could see Bray Wyatt getting it, but I think Ambrose would be like more fun.
Yeah.
And Ambrose is assuming he'll still be a face. That would
Actually,
be a
yeah,
face
they
with it.
probably will have a
Because
face
we've definitely
they-
been heavy on the heels
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
briefcase.
I don't know. It just seems like I think that's partially because it makes more sense.
Yes,
for,
it does.
It makes more
does.
sense for a heel to have it.
But you gotta have a face once in a while.
But
Yeah.
you have to keep in mind now there's only one briefcase.
Yeah.
Before they had two, so typically there'd be one face and one heel. Where now they're going to
Yeah.
have to kind of...
They're going to
Trade
just
off.
stagger it out.
One
a bit.
Boy Scout and one heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
I'm gonna tell you exactly when I'm
mean-
gonna cash in, so I
And
can
we'll-
lose.
we'll talk-
And Dean's a face who could have it and still be unpredictable with it. So
Yeah.
I think Dean would be a good face for it.
Yeah.
It would be a
As to, like,
blast.
where
Yeah, for
a lot
sure.
of faces, like Brian, Brian's not just wanting to like run in and cash in. He's gonna be like, oh, I want to be fair, but I want you.
The old
to,
Brian did.
Well, yeah, but he was heel though.
Yeah.
But,
He was face when he cashed in, but it turned him heel. But
Well, yeah.
You're right.
but it's
I
just,
get what you're saying, though.
and it's one of those things like the heel's gonna be like, oh, well, I want you to be prepared. I want this to be a fair match. The heel's just like, I don't care. I just want the title.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Nope.
But yeah, I do agree. I think it.
I don't
be
think
a
Ambrose
face,
would
but-
though. I could see him taking advantage.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Just
no,
totally
that's what I'm
taking
saying.
advantage, Yeah.
Ambrose is a good face to have it, and still gonna.
Well, because back
he's
in the day,
unpredictable
and,
anyways.
Yeah, and everybody kind of equates him with Stone Cold, and Stone Cold would never be like, "Hey, pal, I'm gonna cash in on you next month."
No, he's
Yeah.
gonna stun you.
Prepare.
He would just
Bring
come
your
down and
best.
give him the finger and stun him and cash in and
Yep.
stun him again and pin him.
And then
And everyone
give
would
him
love
the
it.
finger again, and then drink some beers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then just walk out like nothing happened.
Yes.
So yeah, that would have been great. Seeing Stone Cold with the money.
Yeah, man, it would have been.
Yeah.
He would just store his beer
Only-
in it.
Like
He
really,
would.
He really would.
It would become his new
Open it every
cooler.
night and like
Yeah.
it's just filled with ice and beer.
Yep. Goes to the little ice machine in the hotel
Yeah.
with his briefcase.
Gets pulled over and the officer's like, "Sir, what's in the briefcase?" Well,
A contract
it's a
for
contract.
a title match. That's
All right,
it.
all right,
Yeah.
sir. I'm gonna have to open this up and check.
It's in the form of beer. It's a contract, but it looks
See,
like beer.
if you turn the cans just right, it writes out WWE contract.
Okay, I have two more things. One,
We've gone way long.
The
Yeah.
Undertaker will wrestle at WrestleMania this year.
You think so?
I think so. I think he's going to wrestle Bray Wyatt.
Ooh. And you think that's why they're building Bray up so much?
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or he's going to wrestle Randy Orton.
I've thought about
Bray Wyatt,
that
not
too.
Undertaker.
Oh.
But I think that... I don't know.
That
I think Undertaker will wrestle, and
Sadly, I
it's
think
not
I
going to be
have
Sting,
to...
so I think it's going to be Bray.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely don't think it'll be Sting now, because they're definitely building those
Oh,
whole
yeah. Well, that'd be awkward. It's like Triple H is like, oh, and he's just like, never mind, I'm fighting Undertaker.
Yeah. But, if it's not Sting, it's definitely Bray I want to see.
Yeah, I just feel it. I feel like Undertaker's going to wrestle. I don't think he can miss at WrestleMania yet. I know he just lost his streak, but I think he'll be there.
I don't know, I think that's a good way to, like...
I'm fine with him not being
Yeah.
there. I'm just saying I think he will.
Because, I don't know, I personally don't think he will, because ending the streak, like, you haven't seen him since then.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good way to retire him.
It is.
Well, I think the $1 million question is that how he wanted to go out?
Yeah.
Does he have closure? Is he happy with that? Or does he want to, come back and, maybe come back in a blaze of glory? Because if he faces Bray, I think, I don't know. I would like to see, if The Undertaker has a last WrestleMania match, I would like to see him win it.
Yeah.
And I don't care who it's against.
Yeah.
Sadly, I think I have to give up on the dream of Cena versus Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Unfortunately.
That is,
I would really like to see
that's
that too.
really.
Me too.
Because when I think about it now, he wrestled Shawn twice. He wrestled Triple H 3 times. I was
One of
like,
those could have been
dude.
Cena, yeah.
And they were great matches. All of them were really good.
Yeah.
But man, come on.
Yeah. And the thing about the Undertaker is it's not just even if he wants to be back. He's such a company guy. If Vince wants him for WrestleMania just as that extra draw, I think he'd do it. Like if he were just like, oh, we want to help promote this WrestleMania, and it's not WrestleMania without the Undertaker. Can you be there? He'd be like, all right.
Well, the thing is though, he's not going to be here forever, so he's not going to be able to do it forever.
Well, that's true, but
I don't know. I think
he's not going to be able to be that draw every year.
No, which is why they need to move on. And that's why if Bray's kind of like this new Undertaker, not really, but he's the closest thing in a way. So
he is.
If they were to do this kind of, I guess you could say pass
the torch type thing.
I don't know. Guess we'll just have to see.
It'll be interesting, and I think it'll be good either way.
Yeah.
So, I personally don't think he'll be there, but if he's there, I'm going to be super excited about it. But
I'm on the fence, but again, that's one of those things where
it's kind of too early to tell.
I want to see it, so I mean. But what I
don't get me wrong, I do want to see that. I would like to see him wrestle again, but I personally...
I'm on the fence. I could really see it go either way.
And if he's not there, it's not the end of the world. I'm prepared for him not to be there. I think he will.
Yeah.
And then my last very odd prediction, I'd say, is I think that Lana will wrestle. Will wrestle. She will become a diva and will wrestle at least a match this year.
I think so, too.
I don't know against who, but I think that she will...
I mean...
They'll have to build something.
Wrestling.
Yeah,
I mean,
she said before that...
And she's training. I just think that she will wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's as a comedy match where she's not a good wrestler because she's more of the manager type, I just think that sometime this year she'll get in the ring as a wrestler.
I think she will too. And I mean, it could even be a thing with a mixed tag thing.
Yeah, I just...
Rusev and Lana
personally, I don't know if I want them to do that. I just think they will. I still want to see Natalya versus Tyson Kidd.
Exactly.
Yes, I want to see that
so bad for the Divas title.
And for the cats.
Or for the cats.
For the custody of the cats.
Now
the contract on a pole match.
That's a WrestleMania match.
No.
A cat on a carrier. A cat in a carrier on a pole match.
Money in the Bank. Instead of a second Money in the Bank match.
Kitty in the Bank.
Cats are just
no, just like a contract. Like this team will just have a cat hanging by its tail.
I don't think that I think there'd be a lot of people not okay with that.
No, just like a contract, and whoever wins...
would love WWE for that.
Oh yeah, like whoever wins gets custody of the cats. But I mean, that would only really work if there was like a divorce storyline.
Seriously, I could see that.
I could too. It would be great. And
they
would both do it hands down.
It would be extremely funny.
It'd be so good.
Yeah, and they would both love it.
So that's what we really want. Natalya versus Tyson Kidd.
There's your SummerSlam.
And a match for the custody of the cats. Book it.
Followed by Shield Triple Threat.
Yes. Now there's SummerSlam.
That is SummerSlam.
I'm sold with SummerSlam already.
We don't need anything else.
I'd pay to see that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, that's it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching, and let us know what you think might happen in the next year, or if you disagree with us or whatever. So, thank you all for watching. I'm Sloppy Joe.
I'm Grim Chorizo.
And I'm Katrina Sina.
Bye.
Later.
Thanks.